Hey, it's Sarah. So I'm going to be doing the second part of my Q&A, which are more questions about my being a mom and what it was like being pregnant and labor and delivery and postpartum and a couple of questions about that. So the first question that I have is that says, you mentioned that you were a stay-at-home mom. Any plans for yourself when your baby gets older? So if you kind of follow up and keep up with me, my daughter is 14 months. She'll be 15 months at the end of this month, so at the end of July. Like I've said before, I am a licensed cosmetologist, so I found out that I was pregnant 3 months before I graduated, and then I didn't actually get to take my state board until I was about 5.5 months pregnant. So by then, the idea of going directly into a salon and then having to leave in 3 or 4 months to go on maternity leave didn't really make sense, because you kind of build up a clientele over 3 months and then you disappear. And I had planned on staying home for at least 3 or 4 months after my daughter was born. Like, that was really important to me. So I just worked in between the time that I was pregnant and delivered. I worked at Macy's. So it was just like a little part-time job. Well, it was actually full-time. This was a full-time job, but something that they knew I was leaving, they knew I was pregnant, and they were fine with hiring me. So I didn't want to go into a salon knowing that I was going to leave, because stylists are kind of known for being a little flaky. So I didn't want to start off my career with that kind of reputation, even though it's not like I'd have a big reputation, but just in general, I wanted to kind of start off full force, really ready. So that was my plan. My plan was to stay home for a year, and then after my daughter turned, well, it was originally just going to be for 4 months, and then we realized the amount of money that we pay for daycare, and the fact that I'm not going to get a really high-paying job, like it's going to be close to minimum wage. It really didn't make sense for me to be out of the home and away from my daughter when we're doing okay financially. Like, financially, we're okay. I mean, extra income would always be great, but I mean, we're not struggling by any means. So I've been really lucky and to have Joe, and that he has such a really good job. So we've been okay. But my ultimate goal, which is the next part of the question, is I would love to go to a salon. I would love to work in a salon full-time. I've actually, since I've been doing YouTube videos and since I've been wearing my hair natural, I've been, and most since I've had my diva cut, I've been really interested in specializing in cutting naturally curly hair, and just natural hair in general. It's become a really big passion of mine. Before, it would have been to do like editorial type things, but I realize that's not really my calling. I'm not really the best at doing those kind of hairstyles, but I've become really involved and really passionate about curly hair, and I think having a stylist that actually understands where the client is coming from makes a huge difference. And you know, like, I'm my own billboard, so people see me and they like my hair. If I'm cutting curly hair and know how to cut curly hair, they're going to want to come to me to have me cut their hair. So I've actually been looking into getting certified to do the diva cut. So I've been in contact with one of the instructors at the Diva Salon in Soho, New York, and I'm looking into going and getting the training for the diva cut sometime in September. So that is my ultimate goal. If I could get certified to do the diva cut and then go to a salon that either is a natural hair salon, or maybe a salon that doesn't technically, you know the diva cut, or isn't known for being a natural hair salon. If I could be a stylist in the salon that does know how to cut curly hair, you can get tons of business. So that's my ultimate goal. when it comes to hair. I've been really, really interested in going to the Diva Shawn salon and learning the Diva. Successful with doing hair, because that's what I'm licensed in, going and getting my degree, one of the most important things to me, and being a good mom. So if I didn't have to work full-time, that'd be I prefer that, because I until my daughter's in school full-time, I'd really love to be able to be home with her a lot more. And even when she is in school full-time, like they're at 3, she's going to be in activities because I don't want her roaming the streets with nothing to do. So I want to be there for everything. Anything that she does, I want to be there. I don't ever want her to say, you know, you weren't there and other moms and dads were there and you weren't there. Like, I always want to be there for everything. It's really important to me. And she knows that, you know, she's my number 1 and work and her dad are number 2. And I want to make sure that she always knows that. So the next question is, how did you react when you first found out you were pregnant? Were you shocked? Were you nervous, excited, or scared? I had actually gone to Las Vegas for the 4th of July and forgot my pills. And so I was there for 4 days and I forgot my pills, and we came back home, everything was fine, and I remember we were at home and I was at the store and I was like, I haven't had my period in a long time, let me just pick up a pregnancy test, which I've done a few times also. Very responsible. I'm not saying that it's right at all, but this is what I was doing. You know, I was 23, I was living on my own, I was going to cosmetology school, I was working part-time, and I was partying a lot, honestly. Like, I went out a lot with my friends and I was really enjoying things, so a lot of things slipped my mind that are really important that shouldn't have slipped my mind. It should have been a priority. So I went, you know, I was at the store, I picked up a pregnancy test and I brought it home. I was in no rush to take it, but just to make sure, kind of a thing. And, you know, I remember we were sitting in the living room and I was like, oh, I have to go pee. I have to go to the bathroom. And it comes on really suddenly with me, so it's not like, you know, it's like I have to pee right then and it's all the coffee that I drink. So I remember I just went to the bathroom, took it, and I think I was doing something in the bathroom, like taking my makeup off or something like that. And then I remember I just looked down at it and it said pregnant. And I just sunk to the floor. And Joe walked in the bathroom like a minute or so later and he was like, no. And I was like, it's not right. There's no way that this is right. It has to be wrong. And he picked it up and he looked at it and he was like, we're having a baby. And I was like, no, like it has to be wrong. And I jumped in my car, no shoes on, and went to Rite Aid, which was right around the corner, and ran in there and got 3 pregnancy tests and People magazine, and came home and did them all, and they were all pregnant, 2 lines. So my first reaction was shock. Joe and I hadn't been together that long. He had a son from a previous relationship and they had, you know, some issues, and it wasn't really a smooth transition from, you know, her to me. And I had just broken up with my ex, and I was still in school. He wasn't working at the time, like a real job, and it was just so many things were running through my mind. It was absolute shock. I was petrified. And I had always been pro-choice but pro-life also, and I had always said if I had ever gotten pregnant, there's no way that I would ever have an abortion. And I really thought about it between the time that I found out and took the pregnancy test, and between the time that I actually went to the doctor and heard the baby's heartbeat. It was a lot of, I don't know what we're going to do, you know, I'm thinking about having an abortion because it's really early, it has to be really early, you know, but Joe's always like, he doesn't want me to have an abortion, but he understands that it's my choice. So he said from the beginning, I don't want you to have an abortion, but this is your decision, and if you decide that that's what you want to do, then I have to support you. But he didn't want me to, so there was no force from him. It was more like, this is what I want, but, you know, it ultimately is your choice because it's your body. So, it was really, really, really scary. And I told my mom, and she was like, no, you know, and I've talked about this before in my mommy videos, but I was really scared just because I hadn't done everything that I wanted to do before bringing a child into this world. I wanted to have a secure household. I wanted to be, you know, in a long-term relationship, not necessarily married, because marriage isn't really that important to me, but be in a secure relationship, own my own home, work full-time, build up a clientele, have, you know, a name kind of building in the industry that I'm looking in towards spending the rest of my life in, and I wasn't at that place at all, not even close. So it was really scary for me, and it was the best decision that I ever made.